Howdy ho, neighborinos. This is Keith Bird once again with another exciting edition of Cyber Force Surveillance 101. Believe it or not, I don't have any Zoom updates this week. So as I promised before, this is going to be part 2 on a series of suggestions about smartphones. There's not going to be a lot of tough love in this segment, just some friendly advice on that miniature computer that you carry around in your pocket, which has your entire life on it. Now, just to give you a heads up, a couple of these suggestions that I'm going to go through, I have mentioned before in my first long video, Cyber Force Surveillance 101, but there is some new stuff here as well. First and foremost, I would hardly recommend that you only download apps from the official Play Store or App Store on your phone. There have been times in which I, a cybersecurity professional, was tempted to download an app from a website which looked interesting and which had no equivalent app in the Google Play Store. So I downloaded the app onto my laptop and I ran the file through Joe's Sandbox, which I mentioned before. It's a great resource for scanning stuff. And Joe's Sandbox did its analysis, and it came back, bad app, malicious, whoop, whoop, whoop. And so that's when it hit me. One of the biggest criticisms Android gets is that its standards are too lax in what they'll allow on their Play Store, and there is some truth to that. So if an app is not allowed on the Google Play Store, if it hasn't met their rigorous testing standards, that ought to tell you something. The only exception, by the way, that I would make to that rule is if the app is on the Amazon Web Store, is probably fine. That's a reputable website. Second, if you're thinking about downloading an app from the Play Store, look at the reviews on it. Not just the good reviews, since those can be faked. What do the bad reviews say about it? Maybe the bad reviews are not being reasonable. That does happen. But it's always good to hear what a person with a bad experience has to say about it. Other questions. How many downloads has this app had? How long has this app been out? Who put out the app? Is it somebody that you've heard of before? If the app has only been out for 2 weeks and is put out by somebody you never heard of before, those are not good signs. Third, it's probably a good idea to do some house cleaning at least twice a year. And I know what you're thinking, Keith, you look like you could use some house cleaning yourself. No. I'm talking about on your phone, your apps. Go through your apps and ask yourself, have I used this app within the last 6 months? If the answer is no, then consider uninstalling it. The reason is that the more apps you have, the bigger attack surface you have. That's just a term for the more avenues of approach the bad guys have to get onto your phone. Fourth, let's address an issue on which I've changed my mind recently. The question is, do I need an anti-malware app on my phone besides what Google provides? I know I need one on my PC or laptop, but what about my phone? Well, up until recently, my answer to that question would have been no. I did some investigations a couple of years ago, and most of the resources I trusted said no. Just do good security practices on your phone, and the odds of a bad app getting onto your phone are pretty slim. And that's actually true. Use some common sense, like we talked about here, and you're probably going to be fine. However, I started looking and thinking about the counter-arguments to that, and there was one big counter-argument that I just couldn't get over. And that counter-argument is, it can't hurt. The bad guys are constantly trying to get into your stuff, and now more than ever, when we're hearing news reports about how hundreds of thousands of apps are suddenly being found out as being bad after being on the Play Store for months. So anyway, if you can get an anti-malware app for not a lot of money or even free, and it's a reputable company, then it can't hurt. It's one more layer of protection than you have without it. And there are a few downsides. Now, to be fair, there is one potential downside to consider. There is the possibility that if the app is running continually, it may drain your battery. That is possible. However, it's not too likely if the app is just scanning apps as they're being downloaded or being updated. So anyway, let me tell you what I've done. This is just me. I have downloaded the free app Intercept X on my phone, and so far it's worked great for me. Whenever I get an update on an app or I download an app, it scans the app for me. And it's free. And it's put out by Sophos, one of the largest security companies out there. So it's a reputable company. But I'm sure that there are plenty of other good ones out there. This is just the one that I found for me. I did some personal research, and this seemed to be the one with the biggest name recognition, which is also free. Anyway, I just wanted something scanning the apps on my phone on a regular basis. So anyway, last but not least, in the video notes below, you'll see a website link for a 16-point security checkup on your Android phone. I highly recommend that you read through it, you follow its instructions, and set a reminder to go through this checklist once a year. Anyway, that's all from your ruggedly handsome cybersecurity pal. Thanks so much for watching, and God bless.